challenge. Today's topic is creating a SaaS business. I'm excited for this one because this one's a little bit different. This is definitely one of those ones that's a unique side hustle. Unique could be a probably is more less of a side hustle, more of a full-time type of business as far as if you have a team around you. So let's dive in. We're going to do our overview, talk about the business model, and talk about some of the highlights and get this outline going. So thank you guys so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Hope you guys enjoy this one. Okay, so creating a SaaS business. So what is SaaS? What does that mean? SaaS. So SaaS stands for software as a service. So creating a SaaS business involves developing and delivering software applications over the internet as a service. So what you could think of is like something like Canva, which is a graphic design program that is accessible over the internet. So you don't have to actually install any physical media, any CDs or DVDs to install the program. Instead of purchasing and installing software on individual computers, users access the software via web browser, usually through a subscription model, which basically means you're paying either monthly or yearly. SaaS businesses provide ongoing support, updates, maintenance as part of their service, making it not only convenient to the customers to use, but also incredibly accessible instead of needing to have this really complex kind of um, IT environment or IT infrastructure. Not to mention, you can access it really wherever you are. As long as you have internet connection, you can access it. So this is going to be a fun one today. All right, so let's start with the outline. So getting started with the SaaS business. So we're going to talk about the introduction. We're going to do understanding the SaaS business models, and then we're going to go into steps getting started as a beginner. So steps you can take. Okay, so we talked about what a SaaS business is. So really could be really anything and anything in terms of being able to access certain software online. Like think of Microsoft Outlook, Microsoft anything Outlook 365. If you're familiar with that suite of tools, Excel, Outlook, all of that. So hey Lawadi, how you doing? So good to see you. Thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate it. Good evening. How you been doing? It's great to have you here. So we talked about the SaaS business. So the importance and the growth of a SaaS industry. So really, I think technology as a whole is definitely moving towards having, if we haven't already, just in general, moving away from having the physical media of having to install, um, some kind of install files, program, application on your laptop, your desktop computer, your tablet, what have you. But definitely not your tablet, but on your laptop. So doing well. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Yeah, I'm happy you're here. Thank you. So I think one big indicator that this is the direction that technology is going as a whole is the fact that I mean, I don't think that they even make laptops with CD-ROM drives built in anymore as far as that goes. I mean, they might not even make desktop computers. I mean, they possibly could, but I think you would be it's becoming a rarity more and more to where you build these computers without having that physical drive of having to put in a CD or a DVD. Because I think that technology, that media is going away. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, it makes it easier. You don't have to carry around all these discs, CDs, that kind of thing. Um, and then we're going to kind of talk about as far as the earning potential of creating a SaaS business. This is something that is definitely I mean, you can imagine if you have a software and it solves somebody's problem, no matter what it is, no matter what kind of category the software is, if it solves a problem and you take payment for it either monthly or yearly, then you're definitely going to have some kind of growing potential. So, hey, how it happens? How you doing? Thank you so much for joining. Really appreciate it. Welcome. So excited for this one. Are you guys excited for this SaaS business? So I think it might be a little when you hear that at first, it might be a little more complex just initially on the surface. But if you break it down, it's super easy to understand what it is. So okay, so we're gonna break down. So we're gonna go into understanding the SaaS business model. So key concepts. We're gonna understand what is SaaS. So there's a bunch of pieces to it. So I just want to make sure that you guys kind of understand. I'm just looking at my notes here. Um, there's a bunch of pieces to it, so we're gonna break it down, and we're gonna try to cover it as kind of holistically as we possibly can. So, all right. So to get started, I mean, we already kind of touched on what it is, but let's break it down. So SaaS, or otherwise known as software as a service, is a software distribution model where applications are hosted by a service provider and made available to customers over the internet. So that's basically the gist of it. So any kind of software that you can access over the internet, period. Like end of story. That's what a SaaS model is. So SaaS program, SaaS model, SaaS business. Okay, so let's jump into some of the key features. So number one, accessibility. So what does that mean exactly? So accessible from anywhere with an internet connection, which that's like a lot of stuff these days, like a lot of stuff. But that's one of the core foundations, the core fundamentals of creating a SaaS business is allowing it to be accessible anywhere with an internet connection. That means globally from east to west, north, south, anywhere. So in addition to that, to kind of build off of that, it can be used on various devices, so including computers, tablets, smartphones, and so forth. So really, any one of those categories, you would find some sort of a SaaS business model. So key feature number two is subscription based. So users typically pay a reoccurring subscription fee. So meaning whether it's a monthly fee, an annual fee. Hey, young saint, how you doing, man? Good to see you. How you been? It's good to see you. Thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate it. It's great to have you here. So we're just kind of getting started talking about a SaaS business model and kind of diving in. So okay, so as I was saying, so it's subscription based. So users you buy in. So I'm going to give an example. Really, any kind of okay. Let's say there's a tool you have to host your blog, right? And the tool that I use to host my blog is called Ghost. So ghost.org. And that is absolutely a SaaS business model, right? Because you're paying a monthly subscription fee, or you could pay monthly or yearly. I actually pay yearly, but you can pay monthly as well. Um, and that's it in a nutshell. So that's the reoccurring subscription fee. So you can just imagine like the dollar signs like adding up. If you create a SaaS-based business model, something that literally anybody can access from anywhere, and you're charging a reoccurring fee, I mean, it's it makes sense, right? Especially to be able to go month to month and not have any contract. Excuse me. I think it's very it's foolish to not go for a month to month when you're first starting out. So what I mean by that is if you're new to the software and you really have no idea what the software does or the full capability of the software, um, I would definitely consider or suggest that you guys take a look at the monthly. So there's a couple of little transparency things here. So basically, when you do a month to month, obviously there's no contract, but the month to month is typically a little tiny bit higher, more expensive than if you did the yearly. So if you were to say, let's just say for a year of Ghost, it would be $300, right, for the entire year. And then maybe you break that down and maybe it's 35, $40 a month. So you're going to be paying about, you know, I've seen, companies or brands offer at least like 15 to 20% discount, potentially, if not more, if you just go ahead and pay the annual fee. So the only catch with the annual fee is usually they charge you like a lump sum. So let's say it is, 300 bucks annually. That's what it comes out to. Well, you're going to get charged on your credit card or wherever you charge from, one lump sum. So just something to kind of be aware of. But I don't think that's a downside in any way, shape, or form. I mean, you're getting a deal, you're saving money, and you have a subscription, right? So I mean, it's not going anywhere. So, and on top of that, there's no contract, right? So it's not like these kind of old school like cell phone carriers where you have these contracts and you get charged fees, all over the place. So awesome. Thank you so much, Young Saint. I really appreciate that. Thank you for the support. I hope you're doing well in Nigeria. Okay, so another part of the subscription based is pricing can be tiered. So what does that mean? So pricing can be tiered based on the features, the usage, or the number of users, and that's really something that the brand itself is going to have. The brand or the software, company is going to have to determine themselves. So how do they actually price it? If this is something you're building on your own, then that's something you're going to have to kind of think about, with your team. So next up is going to be managed by a provider. So the service provider manages all the infrastructure, the maintenance, and the updates. And if anybody knows anything about being in IT, you guys know or you can imagine just how stressful and like I mean tedious, but like just the intense like you need to be on top of your game, especially if you're keeping everything updated, keeping the infrastructure, the servers on the back end, keeping those up to date, being patched with security patches, keeping it online, making sure there's no, network outages, network hiccups, the maintenance of everything. Anyway, so you can imagine that's a big deal. So not having to worry about that is huge. So and then kind of the counterpart of that is users don't need to worry about installing, updating, or maintaining the software, which is absolutely huge. So, hey, Sweetums, how you doing? Thank you so much for joining. Really appreciate it. How you doing? Okay, so we're gonna dive into next up. Next feature is scalability. So you can easily scale and accommodate growth for your user base or your increasing usage. So that means if you're doing a SaaS, hey, no worries, no problem at all, Sweetums. If you're doing a SaaS business model, you definitely want to try to see as best you possibly can to try to predict the growth that you might have in terms of, the user base, how quickly it's growing. You're growing as a company with the amount of users that are accessing the software every month or increasing the usage. So, how long do people use the software? So, you really got to kind of, that's one of those things where you have to kind of, be very flexible and able to pivot in terms of moving around and finding the right, I guess, kind of, you know, what's a word like the balance, the right balance between the growing user base and the increased usage. So, and then users can typically upgrade or downgrade their plans based on need. So typically, what you do is you'll have like obviously the free plan, and then you'll have like the step up. Usually, these subscription based models they have could be anywhere from like two to maybe possibly four tiers, and they gradually go up in price. Usually, you start with a free model, which means it doesn't cost anything, but you just get a limited set of features and a limited set of capabilities. And then on the other side, usually you have like a sales or an enterprise level um, plan, which is you would have to probably call in typically if you're going to have a full established company use this software as a service. And then in between, you kind of have these kind of mid tiers where they're like just a step above free and just a step below like the enterprise. So uh, that's kind of how they structure it. I've seen like really between like three and four tiers. So all right, so we're going to move into multi-tenancy. So what does that mean? So multiple users or tenants, they share the same application and the infrastructure, but their data is isolated and secured. So meaning if you're working with Microsoft 365, if you guys are familiar with that, so you have Outlook, and Outlook is accessible on the web, right? So that's a perfect example of a SaaS. So if Outlook is if it's accessible through the web, Microsoft has to make sure that each individual user's not only their session, their data, everything is secure, it's private. Other users can't see other users' emails and security settings and that type of thing. So that's also something that kind of plays into making sure the architecture, the build, the creation, the design of the software itself allows for efficient resource utilization to make sure there's no downtime. Everything is as quick as it possibly can be, and there's cost savings. So at the end of the day, you want to make sure that your savings. So how are you guys doing so far? I want to take a break. We're about 15 in. Just wanted to see if you guys have any questions so far. We're still kind of taking a look at the outline, so This is just like an overview of the SaaS business model. Okay, so benefit number one is cost effective. So what does this mean? So there's lower upfront costs since the users do not need to purchase hardware or software licenses. And the reason that is true, you don't need to purchase any software licenses, is because you're paying a monthly fee or an annual fee, whichever one you choose. So that in itself is the fee for the license. So and then the second part of being cost effective is predictable ongoing costs with subscription fees. So you're going to be able to tell if there's a trend that's kind of trending up or down as far as your ongoing costs with how many users or how many subscriptions you actually have. So that's something definitely that you want somebody on the team to be able to monitor in terms of, are you having a lot of people sign up and then drop off, or sign up and just stay as long-term customers. As long as you have this product that is solving people's problems, is easy to use, that sort of thing, then people are going to stay with you and stay with the product itself, the software. So if it makes somebody's job easier, somebody's life easier, and it's just a very simple to use product that there's a very low learning curve, I think that's probably the best option for just starting out. So you want to make something that anybody can use, and they don't have to really go into a bunch of different tutorials to try to figure out how to use it. So, and that kind of goes into benefit number two, which is ease of use. So you want to have quick development since there's no need for a local installation. So what that means is local installation is where you don't need to install on your laptop, your computer, that kind of thing. So you're accessing everything over the internet. And the second part is updates and new features are automatically applied by the provider. So for example, back to Microsoft 365 or Office 365, you don't have to worry about doing any updates. You don't have to do any kind of patches or anything of that sort because Microsoft takes all that on the back end. So everything is done, everything is updated behind the scenes. You don't have to worry about any of that stuff. It gets updated, it's secure, and all the data is isolated for each user. So that's something you don't have to worry about, which is very nice because that's one less thing you won't have to worry about is data privacy. So, number three benefit is flexibility. So, accessing the software from anywhere, like literally anywhere, and supporting remote work and collaboration. So, that's basically, hey, Sweetums, yeah, definitely. Yep. Adobe CC definitely does count as SaaS. Yep, for sure. Yep. So, yeah, that's a good point. I forgot to mention Adobe. That's like one of the big ones out there. And I was like, oh, yeah. Yeah. Just because it's based in the so Creative Cloud, so it's based in the cloud or it's housed in the cloud. So that's an excellent example also about a SaaS model or a SaaS business. So I'll kind of throw around the same terms, kind of back and forth, like SaaS model, SaaS business, that kind of thing, SaaS software. It all means the same thing. So it's really just kind of a different way to say it. So and the second part of flexibility is easily adjust subscription plans based on changing needs. So, for example, if you have a free plan and maybe the free plan has a ton of features and you're noticing that a lot of people are taking advantage of the free plan, which is good because they're testing out the software, they're using it, and they're really kind of getting in and getting their hands wet or dirty, whatever. And but you realize maybe the free plan has a little bit too much features in terms of, okay, are you giving a lot of stuff away for free? So maybe you want to pull back some of the reins on the features for the free version and move them up to another tier that's slightly, that's obviously higher than free. So that might be a transition that you might have to make as a team, that kind of thing. So, and benefit number four is reliability and security. So, why is this important? Service providers often have robust security measures and backup systems in place. So without these security measures, data is going to go all over the place. You know, there would be no such thing as data privacy. People would be getting into other people's email and documents and spreadsheets and that kind of thing. And obviously, we don't want any of that because that's obviously a lawsuit waiting to happen. Excuse me, from Microsoft. So, hey, Spendy, how you doing? Thank you so much for popping in. Really appreciate it. Also, high availability, and uptime are typically guaranteed by service level agreements, and those are known as SLAs. So, what is high availability? What does that mean? So that means that the backend servers are always access. So they're always being able to access, they're always online, and that kind of feeds into uptime. So uptime is the same. So basically, uptime means a backend server that runs this whole software and this whole operation is online and it's working, it's functioning as smooth and as quick as it possibly can. And it's just the backend servers that run all this software is running smooth and it's running well. So that's basically high availability and uptime. And what is a SLA? So a service level agreement basically means that Microsoft, we'll just, go with Microsoft on this one. So a service level agreement is basically something that Microsoft enacts themselves. So Microsoft themselves tells their customers, okay, our servers, the backend servers are going to be up for 99.9999% of time or whatever it is. So they're going to guarantee that there's a certain level of uptime, meaning the server's not going to be down. You're not going to go to the website and be like, oh crap, I can't access the website, because it's down. So, especially somebody who is one of the pioneers like Microsoft or Adobe, like Sweetums mentioned, they're not going to let very, very, very rarely would their website go down. So, that's just beefing up like the back end and having a bunch of servers and basically having this disaster recovery plan. So I don't want to get too deep into the IT stuff, but that's basically kind of how it works on the back end. So, okay, so let's talk about some common SaaS applications. And you guys let me know if you've heard of any of these, and we'll kind of go from there. So, for productivity, this first one I'm sure everybody's heard of. So, Office 365. Hey, Criminal Puzzles, how you doing? Thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate it. So we're talking about creating a SaaS business. You didn't miss much. We're just going still on the overview. So, okay, so productivity. We have Office 365 and Google Workspace. Anybody out there, do you guys use either one of these? If you do, can you give me a thumbs up in the chat? That way I just know that, hey, you guys are familiar with Office 365 and Google Workspace. Okay. So then we're gonna dive into we did productivity as a common SaaS application. So next up is gonna be the customer relationship management, otherwise known as CRM. So hey Julie, how you doing? Yeah, that's awesome. So do you like 365? Yeah, I do too actually. So yeah, that is a like the quintessential version of a SaaS business model. So yeah, super easy to use. Um, Yeah, Chrono Puzzles. Yep, SaaS business. Yep, definitely. So we're going to talk about CRM tools. So customer relationship management. So Salesforce. We talked about this on a couple of other live streams earlier. And Salesforce and HubSpot. Those are both different versions of CRM products. So those are also SaaS, right? So software as a service. Yeah, for sure, Julie. I totally agree. It definitely makes life easier. Love it. I absolutely love it. It just nothing to install, no hassle, no headache, none of that garbage, right? It's just like boom, easy. So thank you guys so much for joining. I really appreciate it. We got 20 people in here. That's super cool. 21 now. That's awesome. Welcome everybody. We're in the middle of a 30-day challenge, how to make money online. And today's topic, we're talking about creating a SaaS business. So thank you guys so much for joining. Um, yeah, we go live for 30 days straight, and today is day 26. So Okay, so next up, project management. Asana and Trello. Those are both examples of a SaaS business model, or a SaaS software. So you may or may not be familiar with those if you're not in the project management space, but that's okay. These are just examples. Communications. So I'm pretty sure you guys know what these are. So Slack and Zoom. Everybody's probably familiar with at least one or two of those. So Slack and Zoom for communication. So Slack obviously is chatting, or being able to have messaging back and forth with your team. And Zoom obviously is video calls. So and then finally e-commerce. So these two are huge too. So Shopify, which we've talked about many times on this channel, and BigCommerce. Those are both examples of SaaS products. So all right, so let's dive in and let's talk about SaaS versus traditional software. Okay, so first off, let's talk about deployment. So SaaS, right? We're gonna do SaaS first. So it's hosted on the cloud and it's accessed via the internet. So everything is super simple. It's easily accessible. Everybody can access it. Doesn't matter where you are in the world, right? As long as you have an internet connection. So that is SaaS as far as deployment goes. All right, so Sweetums asked, does SaaS necessarily have to be for productivity or does Spotify count? Yeah, that is a great point, Sweetums. Spotify definitely does count for sure because anything you're accessing software wise, that's actually filling a need or providing some sort of service, like listening to music, boom, love it. I love that one too. Spotify is a great example. Anybody out there like Spotify? I absolutely love it and I couldn't live without it. So hopefully you guys out there have tried Spotify too for your music. Okay, so for deployment, SaaS is hosted in the cloud and you can access it anywhere. Let's go down to traditional software. So the difference is traditional software would be installed locally, meaning on your C drive, on your laptop, on your desktop, whatever it is, on the user's computer, or what they call on premise servers, meaning like housed in a physical building, like otherwise known as a data center, on servers that are actually attached to the building kind of thing. So that's the difference between those two as far as deployment goes. So let's talk about cost. So a SaaS model is subscription based pricing. So we talked about that a little bit earlier. So it's either monthly or it's either yearly for subscription based. And then traditional software typically involves, you guys remember this probably, a one time purchase or some sort of like perpetual license fee that you have to one up, or not one up, excuse me, re up like every year. So that's a difference for cost for SaaS versus traditional software. And then finally, we have maintenance. So SaaS, managed by the provider. That's a beautiful thing. To not have to worry about any of this stuff, like all of the crazy patch updates and everything that just it gives you a headache, right? And just is stuff that just drags you down. So not having to worry about anything to do with maintenance, that is what sets the SaaS software model apart from everything else. And traditional software, obviously it's going to be managed by the user or an IT team. So that's one of the things that I think is also huge because traditional software is usually like on premise or local in terms of, house wherever the physical location is. So, and then it gets kind of pushed out to different people, wherever they are location based. But I think, it's just there's so much to manage, so much to update, so much to make sure that things are running smoothly and they're running the way that they should. And that in itself, I think, is worth the payment subscription as far as like paying either monthly or annually. Um, I don't know what do you guys think? Like what just in general, I don't know that I could go back to like traditional software media kind of thing because being able to access any of this software like through the web, I think is just it's a no-brainer to be honest. Like it just it's it makes everything so easy and I love it. It's perfect. So yeah, just let me know what do you guys think of SaaS as a whole, like in terms of like a business model or like a software subscription model. I know Julie said that it makes life easier, which I could not agree with more. 100%. And it's definitely not just productivity tools. I mean, it could be, like Sweeten was mentioned, it could be music. It could be, I'm just trying to think of another, we talked about Canva, right? We love Canva. Hey, Zach, how you doing? I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. Thanks for coming by and hanging out. So just want to pop in and say, I appreciate you guys being here. We're on a 30-day challenge right now. So if you guys aren't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing and going along on this awesome challenge with us. So we also have a playlist of the previous 25 days of this challenge. So you're more than welcome to, we can get that link for you guys and you can check that out. So, oh yeah, Sweetum. Sweetum says, I used to have Adobe Photoshop when it was downloadable and you had to spend thousands every couple of years. Now 10 bucks a month, which I think is easier, but it keeps you locked in. Yep, absolutely. For sure. I totally agree, Sweetum. So do you know is because I'm pretty sure, but I don't want to give you guys wrong information. Do you know is Adobe CC? There's no contract, right? I mean, it's a month to month or a yearly thing, or are you effectively signing with Adobe? You never know, right? I mean, you're effectively maybe signing like some form of a contract kind of thing. So, but I just want to make sure. I don't want to give you guys the wrong information, and then you come back and you're like, dude, you lied to us. So I definitely don't want to lie to you guys when I'm trying to just kind of help give the information. Oh, right on. You could do month to month. Sweet. Okay. So anybody out there, if you're a diehard fan of, Photoshop, InDesign, what else? I'm drawing a blank. Like, what else? I mean, there's a ton of it, right? Illustrator, After Effects, Lightroom, anything that has to do with the Adobe suite. Definitely jump on that Creative Cloud, and I'm sure if you're into that sort of software, you're already into that. So. Oh, that's awesome. So you can choose how many, Sweetum says you can choose how many programs you want to include if you want the entire suite of tools. That's awesome. So you can basically kind of like build like an a la carte version of what you need because I know that there's certain, in a past life, I used to work at a magazine type place thing. And it was, everything was installing. Like this is probably like a couple years ago or a decade ago or whatever. Anyway, so it was all about like having this huge booklet of like CD or DVDs that we'd have to install of the entire suite of Adobe, right? You're like, all right, you need Photoshop, you need Illustrator, you need InDesign. Oh crap, you need what do you need? You need Lightroom, and so on. It's like it goes and it goes, and it's so much to like the upkeep and the maintenance for like having the physical media is bonkers. It really was like, and then the versions are different, right? That kind of thing. You're like, oh crap, this doesn't work or my application's crashing. That honestly, like that's probably one of the biggest benefits for doing it through the cloud. No more crashing applications on your computer, on your laptop, whatever. Yep. Yeah, exactly, Sweetums. It was very, very stressful. Definitely when you had to update the entire program and you would sink an insane amount of money in for the update. I mean, it just talk about like just more than just money. We're talking about like the time and the effort and the patience. And like even if you weren't involved in IT, it was just like, oh crap, is this thing just gonna bomb out on me? That kind of thing. It's like, oh, I really hope that it doesn't just go bonkers, go bananas and start flipping all over the place. So that was one thing I always freaked out about was anytime we did an update, like a mass update, it was just like you hold your fingers, you cross your fingers, you hold your breath kind of thing. So, oh, cool, criminal puzzles you do. You have skill in website development. That's cool. That's awesome. Yeah, no, that's true. That's absolutely true, Sweetums, definitely. Yep. So when it became a subscription model, yeah, just move over to Google Tools. And that's what I like is that there's so many different options as far as having it's not just like there's not just one option as far as, productivity tools or listening to music or design or, whatever it is, like page layout, that kind of thing, like newsroom, magazine, newspaper type stuff. So there's so many different options. You don't have to go with like the juggernaut, the big kind of player in the game, so to speak. I think that's a huge win that there's competitors out there, and that's awesome. So so just to kind of recap, so hey GD Truth, how you doing? GDO7, sorry. Thank you so much for joining. I appreciate it. So SaaS is definitely becoming increasingly popular due to not only convenience, but it's cost effective and its scalability. And it definitely is making it the preferred choice for definitely many businesses, but also individuals, because people realize that if I don't have to mess with, if I don't have to mess with installing software, I don't have to carry it around, I don't have to do the updates or the security patches or any of that kind of stuff, then I mean, you're golden as far as not having to worry about that stuff. You can put your head down, you can focus on getting the job done. Whatever it is that you're trying to do or trying to accomplish, then you can absolutely get it done. So thank you, Sweetums. Hey, GD Truth, if you're still in here, Sweetums posted a side hustle playlist for you. So definitely check that out if you want to know where to get started, for sure. So, okay, so back to understanding the business model. We talked about SaaS, talked about the business models. Um, so let's dive into the benefits and the challenges, because I like to kind of cover this part so we can kind of see, all right, pros and cons, that kind of thing. All right, so for the benefits, on the benefit side, we're talking about recurring revenue. I mean, that's something that is a business owner's dream, right? And just something where you're paying for a subscription base and you're getting paid every month, just doom, 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 just it's just like clockwork, right? You're just getting paid. um, Next is scalability. So being able to scale because everything is on the internet, and you can expand your reach, like the global reach, in terms of you don't have to be a certain place, you don't have to be connected from a certain type of computer. All you need is a stable internet connection and you are good as golden. So low upfront costs for customers, which is so true because you're not paying individually, for the software. I mean, you can do that. Certain softwares, you can kind of pay more of like an a la carte program, but it's low upfront because you're not paying for like all these license fees and the software and all this other stuff. So you're really just paying like one cost for the most part, one monthly cost or one yearly cost, and that's it on the customer side of things. So that is a huge, huge benefit. So okay, now let's move over to the challenges. And some of these challenges, I think they can be looked at in a positive light, and I'll explain what that means here in a moment. So, challenge number one is technical complexity. So, when you think about it, how hard is it to learn the technical side of whatever the tool is? I don't necessarily think that it's not going to be just because it's in the cloud and it's on the web. It doesn't mean that it's any more difficult to learn than if it's physical media or physical CD or DVD, that kind of thing. So I think if you're familiar with it, kind of I'll just say the old school way of installing it locally, then you're not going to have any issues with it just because you're going to a website. So there's definitely going to be like that crossover kind of potential learning curve if you're not really familiar with all the features and stuff. But as far as it being local on the laptop or the desktop versus just going to a website, there shouldn't be any complexity there. It should be a smooth transition. All right, so Sweetums asked, is today's SaaS discussion about how to use it for your business or how to create it and sell it? So we're kind of touching on in the beginning, we're kind of touching on as a business, if you were like using it kind of like for a business, that kind of thing. So if you were using it personally, and then a little bit later, we're going to touch on how to create it and how to sell it. So it's going to kind of be kind of a combination of both of those. So how to use it from like an end user perspective, like the benefits, and understanding it overall. But then we're going to also kind of guide in this next steps. We're going to guide into as far as if you were going to create a SaaS product and sell it. So we're going to touch on both. But great question. Hey Edwin, thank you so much for joining. Really appreciate it. Hey, I'm not selling anything. I'm just selling free knowledge. That's it. Free information about creating a SaaS business. So feel free to stick around. if you want to hang out with us. Sweet. Okay. So let's kind of dive into the steps to getting started as a beginner. So we're going to shift gears a little bit and we're going to pretend that we are the ones that want to start a SaaS business itself. So the software. All right. So first off, right? If you thought I was about to say you got to find your niche, then you would be right in a sense. So identify a market need. So what does that mean exactly? What's a market need? I don't know, right? So, okay, so a market need is researching and identify a problem that needs solving. That's basically it. So that's like in a nutshell. So yeah, it went so SaaS, it just stands for software as a service. So think of like Microsoft, like Office 365, think of like Adobe CC, Creative Cloud, think of Spotify for music. Those are all software as a service. So that's what we're talking about. That kind of back end business model. Hey Norbits, how you doing? Thank you for joining. All right, so once you research and you identify a problem that needs solving, right, and that could be really anything, you want to validate your idea with potential customers. So what that means is you could find people that are in the space of whatever you're trying to do. So whatever problem you're trying to solve. So let's say, for example, let's take Spotify as an example because I love Spotify. So we'll take that as just so you guys can understand because that's already a thing. So research and identify a problem that needs solving. So you're a person that loves music, you love listening to music, and you want to listen to music on the go, but you don't want to carry around CDs anymore. You don't want to have like that big zipper black book binder thing with all your CDs. So you know that technology is moving in a way such that music is being produced and created in more of a digital form. So that means that there's digital files that are stored somewhere, right, on the internet, and they basically get the company Spotify basically gets the licensing from the music companies or the artists, that kind of thing, and they basically buy licenses where they can actually set it up and have it accessible on a platform. So in a nutshell, so you basically want to validate your idea with potential customers. So being able to go through and um, knowing that there's going to be this business model, are customers going to need this? Is this going to fill a need that people are looking for? So, and that's basically just validating your idea with potential customers. Like, would people buy into this? Is this something that people would use, would need, would solve a problem? Obviously, you guys remember that big zip, or anybody that's older, remember that big zipper thing where you unzip your CDs in the big binder. Yeah, Norbit's. That's exactly right. So SaaS basically is a subscription-based software that's hosted on someone else's server. Yep, well said. That's it in a nutshell. So that's a good way to describe it. And if that is a little too technical, um, it's basically like, we talked about these softwares that are an example of a SaaS software. And right now we're talking about Spotify. So basically the need that it fills is to have music, and you have music on the go. And that's filling a need for people that want to listen to music while they're running, while they're working out, while they're cooking, while they're baking, while they're working on their computer, whatever it is. So without the need for physical media. So, oh, cool, Edwin. That's awesome. Your friend is a songwriter. He sells music on 50/50. That's cool. Very cool. Awesome. Oh, sweet homes, you still have one. Yeah. 100,000 clip art graphics. Boom. That's it. That's it. That's awesome. Okay. All right. So we're going to move to the next. So next up is defining your value proposition. Has anybody heard of that before? Like, do you know the term value proposition? Anybody knows what that means? So what could that possibly mean, just as a whole? Anybody have any ideas? What's a value proposition? Yeah, yeah, that's a good point, Norbert. Yep, that's basically it. So you really want to clearly articulate the unique value of your SaaS solution, your SaaS software. So, yep, what are you actually going to put? You want to put into words, be able to articulate or have the verbiage, the words of what kind of value are you going to be able to provide with your SaaS software. So, yep, exactly. Yep, that's it, Norbert. Yep. What are you promising to deliver? Basically, yep. So you want to identify your target audience, right? We've talked about that a lot on this channel and especially a lot in this 30-day challenge. And what are their pain points? So what are their frustrations? What do they get annoyed with? What is a way that you can solve their problem? So who's your target audience? In the event of like Spotify, the target audience is everybody. Everybody, it doesn't matter, right? You can listen to all kinds of music, whatever kind of music you desire, you can find on Spotify. So the pain point is I want to listen to music digitally, like on the go in my ears or whatever, or out loud on a speaker, whatever it is. So that's a pain point. I don't want to carry around a ton of CDs. I want to listen to it on the go, wherever I want. So Spotify solved that pain point for the target audience. Luckily for them, the target audience is everybody, basically, because it doesn't matter what kind of music. Spotify has it all, right? So that's just like the quintessential example of a, just the widest target audience I've ever seen. And same with like Office 365, that kind of thing, like Outlook and that type of thing, or like Google, same thing. I mean, you're reaching so many different kinds of people in different kinds of industries and professions and careers. Um, it's really a tool for everybody, like literally every single person. So there's nobody that those tools don't target. Okay, so next up, we're gonna talk about conducting market research. So remember, we're gonna at this part of the explanation, we're gonna come at it like we are the ones that are creating the SaaS business. So the business, the software, that kind of thing. So conducting market research. So you want to analyze your competitors and the market trends. So before Spotify came out, they have to think about, okay, who is around? Like what what um what was their competitor? So can anybody think of who an early competitor to Spotify would be? There's one particular, and I have in my mind that I'm thinking about. Anybody have any ideas? Like, who would be like an early competitor? Maybe would be considered an early competitor of Spotify. Yep, yep. That was the one that I was thinking. So Norbit's, yep, iTunes. So definitely iTunes. iTunes was like the early adopter of this business model as far as like mobile streaming, basically, right? Mobile streaming of music. Another one that I thought of was something like Napster. Do you guys remember? Anybody remember Napster? That was another one that was kind of like an early adopter. That was more of like kind of blurring the lines between, I think there's a gray area there in terms of, as far as like integrity and legitimate kind of, that kind of thing. But yeah, iTunes definitely would be the closest large, large scale, I would say pre Spotify competitor. So when you think about that, obviously, somebody had like an iPod, right? That was an Apple product that you could actually, we old, all right? We old. That's it. Let's get that out of the way. We old. Yep. I was gonna say that Napster and LimeWire, yeah. I was like, "Should I go that direction? Okay." This is just an example, but that's all I could think of in the moment. So, that's it. That's for all you 80s and 90s kids. So, probably nobody on here. Anyway, so all right, so you're gonna analyze competitors and market trends. Then you're gonna also gather feedback from potential users. So you definitely can imagine when iTunes, we'll kind of talk about iTunes for a sec. So when iTunes started out, I guarantee that they had before they rolled it out in a major kind of huge global rollout, I'm sure they had their employees. on like a closed circuit type iTunes, software type, I want to say like network or that kind of thing, like a software test pilot they had run for just the employees, I'm sure, because it was all like internal. So while Apple was getting all of the rights and the licenses for all the music, before they released iTunes to the masses, basically. So I would imagine that their test group or the potential users obviously would be the employees before they roll it out. So that's kind of what you're thinking about. You kind of want to target everybody in terms of like the music, the music sense. So next up is going to be creating a business plan. So you want to outline your business plan. And okay, I'm going to pause that real quick here. So, okay, so Norbert says, was iTunes ever subscription based? Or do you just had to buy songs, albums, and movies individually? Yeah, so I don't think iTunes was subscription. I think it was more of like a one-off sale. So like if you wanted to buy a certain song, you could buy a song, you buy the whole record or the album. You could also buy movies. And one thing I forgot actually was that you could actually purchase ringtones through iTunes. I don't know if you guys, anybody out there remember that, but you can actually buy ringtones also because, and this is kind of getting off on a little tangent, but that's all right. Because Android, they had different programs that you could use to either create your own ringtones or download ringtones like MP3 clips, but iTunes you couldn't. You couldn't do that on Apple. So Apple decided to get into the game of selling ringtones, and that was kind of the direction they went. In addition to buying the licenses for the music and the rights and all that stuff, basically, in order to allow, they'd have to go to the record companies to say, we want to stream, and that was a new term at the time, right? We want to allow people to stream the music and download or own that digital copy of the music of the song. So you don't need a physical CD anymore. It's all digital. So yeah, yep, absolutely. And then you own that permanently. Yep. That was such a crazy concept. Like not actually buying like the physical media of a CD. Um, that is so cool. That's awesome. Jeff Buckley's song "Grace" is my ringtone. That on the flip phone, on a flip phone, on a flip phone. It's funny you say that these days, and people are like, "What? They still make flip phones?" But yeah. I mean, I think there's got to be some out there, right, for the people that just don't want to do the technology. To a certain extent, though, I mean, you can't really run away from it fully. It's out there, and you have to if you don't keep up, you're gonna fall behind, basically. I think so. I think that can be intimidating, maybe for like perhaps the older generations, but it's not that bad. Once you kind of take it slow and you kind of learn little pieces here and there, then the technology definitely can be a lot more beneficial than a hindrance. So, okay, outlining your business model. So, what does that mean? So, basically, when we're thinking about Spotify, we're just gonna relate it to that because that's the easiest thing that I could think of off the top of my head. So the business model for Spotify is basically okay. We have a platform, we have a software as a service, we have a website, if you will, that people go to, and they can stream songs basically for free, right? So you pay. There is a free version, but there's also ads. So that's the way that they get around paying. So that would be part of the business model for Spotify is you have a free account but you have to listen to ads, and that's the way that you can actually listen to the music or access the music without having to pay a monthly fee. So, or what you can do is you can go up in subscription based and you can pay a little bit and you don't have ads, but you're basically paying back Spotify in a sense for the ability to listen to the music. So you're paying for the rights and that kind of thing, paying back Spotify. So okay, so Norford says, does anybody ever wish they could just own stuff instead of having to get subscriptions for everything under the sun, though? That's a good point. What do you guys think? All right, Norbit, sorry, no takers. Okay, so part of the business plan, once you have your business model, then you got to figure out what is your revenue streams. So what does that mean exactly? So as a business, how are you going to actually receive money, or what are you going to be charging for? So you have to decide, okay, for Spotify, right? You can do an individual plan where you pay a little bit more instead of the free version. A, you don't get ads, but B, maybe you get access to more things like not just you can stream the music, but maybe you can also stream podcasts, that kind of thing. Because there's also podcasts on the platform as well. But if you do the free version, I'm sure you can still stream podcasts, but there's going to be ads all over the place. So that's something you have to figure out. So that would be, two different revenue streams possibly. And then of course a pricing strategy. So I would yeah, planned inconvenience. Absolutely. That's what it is. That's why some things like Spotify, in my opinion, are worth the money to pay, because I don't want to be interrupted when I'm listening to a song, when you're at the gym or when you're working out or when you're just, cruising or you're, lounging at home or whatever. So yeah, it's absolutely worth it to pay for certain things that you realize you're like, oh crap, I don't want to listen to ads, right? So they have to think about what is their pricing strategy. So they want to be competitive, meaning, Title is another competitor now um, with Spotify, in addition to iTunes, obviously. But then you have to figure out, okay, are you gonna do it based on song? And I think that that model is over. It's more of like now you're gonna charge like a monthly basically like the monthly subscription. And I think that's pretty standard these days, in terms of that's what people have come to expect is having something that's like a monthly subscription or yearly. So, yep, I hate that too. It's like, oh, you don't want to be interrupted. Yeah, that is true. So when you do own it, like the kind of the I would say old school, but the old school way to do it, like iTunes, yeah, you definitely when you own it, you pay once, you own it, and then you're done. You're out. But then again, you're paying for each song or you're paying for the whole album. So it's kind of like, I don't know what, I don't know, what's the lesser to the evils kind of thing. Like, in terms of like, all right, what are you willing to put forth as far as your money goes? So yeah, I think there's kind of like pros and cons for both sides. So the second part of creating a business plan is plan for marketing, sales, and customer support. Okay, so let's break that down. So plan for marketing. So how are you actually going to get the word out about this new business that you want to start? And are you obviously you're going to jump on social media if it's 2024, jump on social media, you're going to spread the word that way. Family, friends, get everybody to anybody you can find to be like a test pilot or to be like a test group. Um, and then sales. So how are you going to sell this thing? Back to the pricing strategy and the revenue streams. Is it going to be a month to month thing? Is it going to be like a yearly subscription? How are you actually going to price this thing that's not only competitive but also it's got to make the company money, right? So if you make it low enough to where people feel like, you know what, that's not such a bad idea. I don't mind. I could pay, we'll just say $9 or $10 a month, right? I mean, people buy coffee like every day for like $5 to $7 or whatever it is. So, $9 or $10 a month is definitely seems like it's pretty doable as far as something that it can fit within the budget. It's of course it's like a nice to have, but sometimes that is just a little something that makes your day a little easier. And it's a little things that I think add up. And then we're going to dive into customer support. So plan for marketing, for sales, and then customer support. So if you're going to have this influx of users and influx of people that are buying into this subscription, of course they're going to have questions. Of course they're going to wonder like, how the heck do I use this? Or I can't download it or whatever the case may be. And, um, in the end, Spotify was and is not just on the web. They do have a software that you can actually download to your laptop, your PC, whatever it is. But since we're talking about everything in the cloud and software as a service, we'll just stick to the website version when we kind of reference. So customer support, maybe somebody signed up for a plan and they're not getting all the access they should, or they're not getting they're not able to do this or do that, or maybe download a certain song, that kind of thing. So of course they're going to reach out to customer support and they're going to want to know what's the problem here. Why can I not get access to this. So you have to plan for that. You have to plan for the customer service support side of things. So, all right, next up is developing the SaaS product itself. So, choosing the right technology. So what does that mean exactly? So you have to really, you got to figure out, okay, what technology am I going to be using? What platforms is this going to be on? Is it going to be on specific browsers, or is it just the internet as a whole? That, and then you want to kind of like make sure that you can pivot and be on top of almost like the research and development phase, to where it's like a trial and error. When you're developing this, you want to have people be able to test on mobile, test on like desktop, but through a browser, and definitely be able to have some sort of like a research and development type team that is able to go in and make changes, make tweaks, make the functionality a little bit more easier to use, streamline, that type of thing. So, and that kind of feeds into this next part. So, setting up the technical infrastructure. So, what does that mean? So, technical infrastructure is like the back end. When we talk about some sort of a software through a website or through a browser, there's going to be some sort of like IT involved. So servers, that kind of thing, cloud service providers. So when you say like Adobe CC, Adobe Creative Cloud is all in the cloud. So all of these excuse me, all these software providers, all of the backend servers, they're all in the cloud. So does anybody know? Can anybody list any cloud providers? Does anybody know of any of that term? Like, who do you know that is a cloud provider? Can you put it in the chat if you know any of them? Yep, Sweetums, that's good. That's right. Yep, Amazon Web Services. So AWS, Google Cloud. Yep, yep. And there's one main, the last one I'm thinking of, the primary one from Microsoft. Does anybody know what that one's called? Yep, that's it. Sweetums, you got it. You got all three. That's awesome. If I could like, you know, yeah, they ring a bell like, yes. Yep. No, that's awesome. Great job. So, all right. All right. So these are the main cloud providers, right? And typically when you start a business like this, because sometimes you don't always want to go with the biggest, like a juggernaut, the biggest ones out there, but because these have such a the reliability factor, the relationship, and the basically the reputation that all three of these have, you can't go wrong. It's really, really important that you choose something that is going to be is going to be secure, is going to be have security. You want it to be scalable, so meaning you can basically like increase the amount of servers that you use, or maybe scale, you know scale either up as far as like scaling like the cost itself. Can you bump the price if you're adding more features? So can you bump the price of the subscription if you're going to add some more features that really warrant, or there's a demand to increase the price? Or are you going to scale this way, like sideways, and increase like the servers if you need more infrastructure to support the growing user base, that kind of thing. So yeah, no, that's true, Norbert. Yeah, so this definitely is definitely going to be less. I actually probably wouldn't even consider it a side hustle, to be honest. It definitely would be like a full blown business, um, unless you have like a full team around you. This definitely is not an individual person type thing. I mean, maybe at least first, but it's definitely something that you need to have experienced people all around you in order to get something like this up and running. Um, so. And the final thing is, so we have security, we have scalability, so reliability. So what does that mean exactly? So reliability basically means it's reliable. There's going to be uptime. The servers are going to be up. You're going to go to the website and it's going to be online. You're not going to have to worry about it being down or saying, oh, I can't access it, that type of thing. So that would be the technical infrastructure, um, as far as that goes for, setting it up. So, okay. So next up is establishing a pricing strategy. This might be just as important as what the content is or what the software itself. What kind of software are you going to make a service? So when you're trying to figure out what the pricing strategy is, obviously it's probably smart to go to your competitors and say, okay, what are you guys charging? Or not go to them, but just do your research and say, okay, what are you charging? What kind of different tiers do you have that you're actually going to provide for the user? So determining your pricing model. So is it going to be subscription tiers where you subscribe, one tier is maybe $5 a month, the other tier is like 20 and then 30 or whatever. Do you have freemium, which is basically like that term, where it's free to sign up, free to join, but there's pieces of the strategy or pieces of the software itself where you have to pay. So like extras, maybe templates, maybe podcasts if you're talking about like a Spotify type software. And then finally pay as you go. So basically however much you use, how many songs you listen to, or however long in terms of time or minutes or hours that you actually stream, you would pay for that time instead of paying like a monthly. So you just basically pay for what you use, that kind of thing. And then you want to make sure that you align pricing with the value that's provided. So it has to be in sync. So you want to make sure that the pricing on the subscription tier makes sense. Or, hey, Dragon Rider, how you doing? Thank you so much for joining. Or the pricing on the freemium, these little extras, these little add-ons, you want to make sure that they line up too. And of course, the pay as you go, that's pretty self-explanatory. I mean, however much that you have used, that's kind of, you need to figure out, okay, what's the pricing going to be like on this particular pay as you go model, that type of thing. How are you guys doing out there? Does this kind of make a little sense? Is anybody like super overwhelmed or like not understanding kind of the gist or the overview of what we're kind of talking about? I just want to make sure I'm not losing anybody. I know we're covering a lot of material here. Awesome. Okay. I'm just gonna take a sip of water here. All right. Thanks, guys. Okay. So moving right along. So we're going to talk about implementing marketing and sales strategies. So when we're talking about marketing, how are you going to market? How are you going to promote? How are you going to get the word out to potential customers around on the internet? And sales, how are you going to get them to actually go from, just window shopping, window browsing, oh, that looks nice, whatever, to actually pulling out their credit card and saying, boom, I want to be a part of this. So I want to buy into this. So you're going to develop a marketing plan. There's going to be really like three pieces to it, or three main pieces. So you have content marketing, you have SEO, and you have social media. So we're going to break those down. So when it comes to when we're talking about a marketing plan in itself, content marketing. So what type of content are you going to produce? Meaning, photos, videos, a mix of both. Uh, what are you gonna? What type of content do you think would reach more people in terms of being able to help promote? Like, how are you gonna? What kind of content do you think would help not only promote it but also accurately describe or draw people in to pique their interest about this program itself or the software? Sorry. Yeah, Sweetum. So you definitely could use, um, you definitely could use all three of these strategies or all three of these um, type of strategies for a marketing plan. Yeah, definitely for sure. So, okay, so Dragon Rider said, "Do you mean ads?" So you could do ads. Content marketing, one of the little pillars of content marketing, definitely could be ads. Um, Initially, I think depending on your budget, maybe you would just want to create content, video, mainly videos is what I'm referring to, and that promote it or show somebody using the product or how they interact with it, or maybe showing like how they physically use it. So sharing showing the screen and kind of how you click around and that kind of thing. So that's also something. But in addition, also could be ads. You could be running ads on different platforms, and in order to promote whatever the product is. So okay, so let's dive over to SEO. So SEO stands for search engine optimization. So you want to make sure that you're getting the word out about this new software that you're ready to roll out, and but you want to make sure that people can find it. So if somebody doesn't know who you are, you have a brand new website, that kind of thing, and they don't know how to reach you, you need to make sure that within your website or your marketing materials that you're optimizing, you're searching for keywords that you can put in that are relevant and that are relatable to whatever the software is about. So the software is a service. So just taking advantage of SEO strategies and principles, maybe within the title or like a blog article, that kind of thing, or just any social media post. Make sure that you kind of drop in keywords that could have some relevance. So when people are typing on Google or YouTube or whatever social media platform, they might maybe able to come across whatever you're trying to the website or the socials. So and then finally, social media. So that obviously ties in all three of these together. So it doesn't matter what social media platform you're talking about, but when you're rolling in or when you're starting out and you're really trying to get the word out on these social media platforms, you definitely want to try to create and hit meaning like take advantage and leverage every single one, as many social media platforms as you can. So set up, you guys know what they are, everything under the sun, your Instagram, your Pinterest, your Facebook, your TikTok, YouTube, X, formerly known as Twitter. What else is out there? I'm missing something like Snapchat. All of those you want to try to take your brand and spread them across every platform, whatever the platform itself is meant for. TikTok, thank you, Dragon Rider. Whatever the platform is primarily meant for, so meaning videos or photos or maybe sharing like Facebook, as far as sharing like a post, that kind of thing. You definitely want to cater and really create your content marketing based on. That's right. Thank you. Create your content marketing strategy based on whatever the topic is going to be. So obviously we're going with the Spotify type business model. So that's our software as a service business model. So really you want to try to cater to those different types of people. So on all the socials. So that's kind of more of like when you're developing a marketing plan. So next is creating a sales funnel to convert leads into paying customers. So what does that look like? Does anybody have any idea what a sales funnel? Does anybody not know what a sales funnel is? Or are you familiar with that term like sales funnel? All right, no problem. So, okay, so let's go in and let's talk about sales funnel real quick. So, what a sales funnel is just think of it as like a one-page website, just like literally one page, and you have everything there's content on this page. So it could be video. Typically, there's a video at the very top, otherwise known as a video sales letter. So that's like a big video at the very top, and it's basically like think of it like a commercial on steroids. Basically, it not only describes what what the product or the software is about, but also why you should use it, why you should try it, what are the benefits, why it's like super cool, and why you can't live your life without it basically. So that's at the very top, and then you have a bunch of text that kind of fills in, and it gives you the specs or the information or the pricing tiers or whatever it is about the information about the product itself. So whatever the software is, it gives you the pros. Obviously, it's not going to give you the cons. It's going to give you the pros, the benefits, why you should use it, how it's going to make your life easier. And then as you kind of go down the website, as you literally scroll down, that's why it's called a funnel. So you go down. So you have the video, then some text, maybe some videos. Images, some testimonials, some reviews, and then at the very bottom, what it's going to do is it could either do one of two things. So it could either direct you to some sort of an order page, basically like a checkout. So if you wanted to actually purchase a subscription, it could either take you there, or it could directly funnel you, down as you're scrolling down into something where it collects an email address, most likely a name and an email address, to create an email marketing uh, kind of piece of it. And then you can be targeted through email for this particular product down the road. So that's kind of the two different ways that a sales funnel would work. So either you eventually it goes down into the actual checkout, so where you would actually purchase whatever the product is, or it's going to collect your email. So it's a tool that can be used for both, and typically it's not both at one time. It's going to be one or the other. So either you check out, you purchase something, or it's going to collect an email. So that's kind of the gist of a sales funnel. So, yep. Yep, Dragon Rider. So it is a sales strategy. It really is a way to kind of draw people in with the video sales letter at the top. Here's all the information you need to know. Here's kind of what it's all about. Here's our whole thing. And then, kind of get you excited about the product, that type of thing. And then at the end, it's either, okay, we're going to collect your email address, or you can purchase it. So, and sometimes these marketing strategies, they definitely have different, they have multiple landing pages. So that way you could take advantage of, okay, it's almost like a B like split test. Like, all right, let's try this one, that instead of just, at the bottom, just trying to get people to sign up for this thing, we collect their email and then we'll send them more information. So let's try that. Let's see how that works. If that doesn't work, maybe we'll just see if we can get them to purchase it like right on the spot. So there's definitely multiple landing pages that can be created to just basically funnel potential paying customers. So, and really seeing, okay, does funnel A work better? Is it more effective, or funnel B? And maybe they would just change like something really slight, or really like, I guess, kind of like a slight detail, and then just kind of decide, okay, what are we going to stick with? Or when we're promoting, which one are we going to use? What draws in more people? So, all right, so we're going to move into launching your SaaS product. So obviously you want to execute a go-to-market strategy. So what that means is you want to say, okay, once we're ready to make this thing live and expose it to everybody, we need to make sure that we have a strategy. So not just social media, getting the word out, but is our IT, is all of that beefed up? Can the servers handle an influx of new people, people signing up? What about when people pay with their credit card? I mean, is the payment processor, so like the PayPal's or the Stripes or that kind of thing? So, yep. So, go to, yeah, GOTO, yep, go to market strategy. Yep. So basically, when you're ready to go live, is basically another way to say it. When you're ready to push this out to the masses, you have to be ready with the strategy on all spectrum, or all sides of it. So, and then, of course, the whole way you do it, you're going to have parts of your team monitor the performance. And you want to gather like the initial feedback of not just paying customers, but also people that you have go to the website. Did their website crash? Is there something that is causing it to really slow down? And people, maybe they can't get through. Maybe they're getting some kind of like, page load error, that kind of thing, a 404 or that type of thing. So you really have to test every which way, every type of, potential, in order to have a successful launch. So, because I know there's just to kind of give a sense of, you know, monitoring performance in terms of something that we can all understand and relate to. So when the new iPhone comes out, there's a very, very often, I don't know if I'm pretty sure they still do this. So before they actually take pre-orders, when they're announcing everything, they actually take the website down on purpose, and they're in the background, they're doing all the little um, updates and changes and everything to add the visuals for the new phones. So basically, they add the visuals, they add the buttons for people to sign up and that kind of thing, and to basically sign up for the pre-orders so they can take people's money further down the road. So they actually stage their marketing strategy by bringing down the website so they can update all that stuff. So they don't want people just slamming and really just like bombarding the website because they have to make these updates as like really like live on the spot as they get going with introducing like the new product. So yeah, Sweetums, that's a good way to put it. So definitely want to eliminate as many barriers to purchase as possible. So what they're going for typically is the instant gratification type of scenario. So you want someone to we'll pick on Apple, right? So you want someone to go to the website, boom, click one button and be able to order, that kind of thing. So you don't want to click on a button and then it goes here and there's some other stuff that they tell you about, some text and some video and some, pictures. You want to have someone click, type in their information and be done, because the more time that they have to think about it or to really kind of have it sit and they kind of figure out, should I do this? Should I wait? Um, you could be losing customers. So you really want to just have that straight shot right to the checkout page kind of thing, or right to the pre-order. And that way you're going to capitalize on all of the instant. I mean, these days Apple has such a loyal fan base that it doesn't really matter. I mean, they're not going to hurt for people signing up for this stuff. So it doesn't really matter anyway. But um, oh, nice, Sweetums. Yeah. So even on Etsy, you need to show all the pretty pictures and include any answers to questions they might have. And then if they leave an item in the cart, you send them a coupon as an incentive. I think that's smart. That's super smart. I mean, and that's a very, very, basic, but not basic in a negative sense, like a very simple kind of retargeting strategy. Like, hey, you were here, you left something in the cart, you didn't purchase it. Are you sure? We're gonna come back around and we're gonna offer you whatever, 5, 10% discount, um, just to make the sale, that kind of thing. So it's almost like following up and making sure, like, are you sure? We got this awesome product, this killer, whatever it is, t-shirt or whatever. Here's a little incentive, here's a little bonus. If you go ahead and buy it, we'll cut you a little break on it. Um, and it's just strategy. I mean, it's all about how to get the customer, to commit and to put down the money basically. And that's business in a nutshell as a whole. So this one just happens to be a lot more moving parts as far as actually creating it and designing it and the marketing and all that stuff. So um, this definitely is one of the ones that's more of like a complex. This is probably the most complex business model we've talked about so far in the 26 days that we've done this. So. Oh yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah. Sweetum said you can even include reviews as part of your photo cards to convince them to buy. I like that. Anything you can use I mean, obviously, you know, to each his own, but like basically, you want to make sure that it's for each individual, it's kind of like moral integrity, as honest as possible. But there's nothing wrong with offering incentives and bonuses and little kind of like, I don't want to say necessarily like giveaways, but like, some sort of incentive to really entice somebody to actually make a purchase. So yeah, Dragon Rider. So okay, so the topic for tomorrow is thank you. I almost forgot. I usually kind of take a break and mention that kind of thing. All right, so the topic for tomorrow is going to be content writing. So content writing. So we're talking about basically the way that you could really kind of put this in plain terms is um, really any kind of content. So most likely for like a blog or website, you would get hired to write content for a blog or website. So if you guys are into blogs, website, that kind of thing, any sort of ad copy, you definitely want to check it out tomorrow. So day 27 is content writing. So make sure if you guys aren't subscribed and you want to be a part of this and this 30-day challenge, definitely hit the subscribe button and come along and join us. It's gonna be fun. So yeah, so you could totally, I mean, you could use AI for that, I think. But there is some, depending on, how big the brand is, a website, that kind of thing, you really definitely want to add some human element because just AI content by itself, I think, is not going to be ranked automatically. It's not like guaranteed to be ranked on Google. So if you search for it, that kind of thing. So thank you, Sweetums. Really appreciate it. Yeah, if you're new here, um, really hope that you guys are getting something out of this. And it's just fun to do. It's fun to do these lives. And this 30-day challenge has been pretty wild. So if you guys have missed any of it, we put all the previous lives into one nice playlist. So definitely check it out if you're interested. And it'll start literally from day one. I think it actually, there's like an announcement and then day one, and it goes from there. So you can literally watch it in order every single day. So feel free to check that out. Another thing I want to mention real quick is we are not monetized yet. We are working on it. That's one of our goals. So if you would like to support us or donate in any way, at the very top of this live stream chat, we do have ways to support the channel. We have Buy Me a Coffee, we have Cash App, PayPal, Zelle, Venmo, and so forth. So if you'd like to donate in that way, we'd be very grateful for your support. So we really appreciate it. Hope you guys are having a good time with this, and you know, I know I am. So you guys keep showing up, and we definitely will, continue this. And so I can't believe we're at the tail end of this live stream or this challenge though. So day 26, pretty wild. So we have like 4 days left of this going live every day. So my voice is gonna probably definitely appreciate the rest for a little bit, but that doesn't mean that we're gonna stop live streaming. We're gonna try to live stream at least once a week after that, I think, if not a little bit more. So we'll kind of see how it goes. But okay, so next up, so the final part of the steps to getting started as a beginner for a SaaS business is providing ongoing support and updates. So you want to set up customer support channels, whether that's live chat, email, phone, the kind of typical avenues that you take when you're actually trying to communicate with customers. So, and regularly update the product based on not just user feedback, but also new trends, new market research, and making sure that it's just updated, not for the obvious stuff, not just for the obvious stuff, but also, in a security sense, you want to make sure there's no bugs, there's no vulnerabilities where people, bad people can try to hack in and take advantage of, whatever the platform is, the software, and potentially access, user data. That's the worst thing. Having a data breach is not something that you want to be a part of. So you really want to make sure that you beef up security immediately when you start planning this thing out. And that way you can keep everything as safe and secure as humanly possible. So, all right, so let's talk about real quick. Let's talk about making money with the SaaS business. So we'll kind of go through some of the different the different strategies here. So we've really kind of talked about them, but this is kind of like a recap. All right, so the number one way to make money with SaaS business is subscription fees, subscription fees. So you charge users a reoccurring fee, either monthly or annually, for access to the software itself. So that's pretty standard. We all know that. We all understand that. So that's easy. The next way to make money is a freemium model. So you guys have probably heard that term, freemium. Basically, it's free to sign up, but then there's little pieces of things that cost money kind of sprinkled in there. So offering basic features for free, and then you charge for premium features. So, for example, like we talked about Spotify, if you don't want to have ads in there, then that would be something that you could upcharge for, right? So you could have the free account, but you're still going to have ads. So if you don't want to have ads, you just charge or you would buy into the next tier up. So, all right. So Norbert says, do you know of any SaaS businesses that bombed spectacularly? Um, you know what? To be honest, off the top of my head, I can't think of any. Nothing like really comes to mind, but I would absolutely be interested in that for sure to know. Like, I'm sure that there's, I want to say local, but like small, kind of like mom and pop type, you know, very, very small business type um, business models, like SaaS business models that people have tried to start up and for whatever reason have not made it, have failed, have not succeeded, whether it be money, whether it be, the demand isn't there, they don't have the team around them to build it out, or there's no need, like there's no like supply and demand kind of thing. So, but yeah, I would definitely be curious. If anybody knows of any SaaS businesses that have bombed, for sure, let us know. The next way to make money with the SaaS business is pay per use. So you basically charge money based on the usage levels. So what that means is, let's say, for example, the Spotify model. So let's say you listen to 10 or 20 songs for a week and then you stop listening to Spotify for like 3 or 4 more weeks. So instead of getting charged a flat rate, you would get charged per whether it be how many minutes you listen to, or it could be how many songs. So that's really up to the business itself to determine, is it going to be a minutes thing that you could charge for, or would it be how many songs? Because obviously we know that songs are varying minutes, so they're varying levels of minutes. So it would probably be more beneficial and more profitable to the business to charge for per minutes. So and then the final way to make money through a SaaS business is an enterprise solution. So you guys probably are familiar with that term. So enterprise solution basically means they offer really tailored and really specific solutions for large businesses with very, very finite needs. So if they have a very specific need, then you would basically work with somebody on the team to get you an enterprise account or enterprise type plan set up to where your employees could use whatever the service was. So, oh, nice, Sweetum. So Adobe Stock Photography gives you credits for a monthly subscription. That's cool. So they basically kind of give you credit towards. That's awesome. Thank you guys so much. We just hit 20 likes, at least on my side, it looks like. So I really appreciate that. That's awesome. Thanks for getting that up there. That's always a goal of ours, at least 20 likes on every live stream. Um, you know, we've had some ups and downs, but I appreciate that. Okay, so it's kind of both, like subs and pay-per-use. Got it. Okay. That sounds cool. I mean, that's kind of like almost like a hybrid version of, a way to make money for one of these companies. So, all right, so let's dive into. We got about, we're doing good. We got about 25 minutes or so left. So, okay, so let's talk about the best tools to use and to analyze data. So, I'm just gonna preface that all of these tools, I haven't used every single one of them, but I'm not even familiar with some of these. But I'm just gonna, we're gonna talk about them as best we can, and I'll just at least announce, what they are, just so if there's any interest, you can at least hear, you know, what I found in my research. So for development tools, so there's three main frameworks that you can use. So framework is basically like, okay, what is the code? What's the back end design as far as like what's the code of the scripting language? Excuse me, one second. Okay, so what is a scripting language that you could use, otherwise known as framework, to build some sort of a software? So the first one is Django. So it's Django. Never heard of that one actually. Ruby on Rails is the next one. And the third one is Node.js. Looks like something with JavaScript. So those are some frameworks. They're not all of them, but those are some of them that I came across. that you could use to build a software. I'm not going to go into these because I really honestly don't know much about them. So I'm just going to leave it at these are the frameworks. And then you go move into the code repository, basically a place where people store their code, like in the cloud. So there's two main places that I know of that, I mean, you could store it really a lot of places, but the two biggest ones is GitHub, 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 and GitLab. Those are both of the two kind of bigger code repository sites that you can go and you can store code. So those are that. So let's talk about cloud service providers. We talked about these a little bit earlier, but we'll recap. So as far as the three major cloud service providers, AWS, Amazon Web Services, um, Google Cloud, and Microsoft Azure. So those are the three main Google or the three main cloud service providers. So, and then when we're talking about project management, we're going to move into those tools next. So project management is going to be Jira, Trello, and Asana. I've only heard of Jira. I haven't heard of Trello or Asana. So those are the project management tools. And then moving into analytics and monitoring. So Google Analytics is one, Mixpanel is another one, and New Relic is the third one. So we got for analytics, we got Google Analytics, Mixpanel, and New Relic. So those are all three. So customer support. So basically, what this would be some sort of maybe help desk system, ticketing system, way to kind of interact and track certain maybe incidents or tickets, some kind of if there is a problem or an issue, whether it be through um, some sort of like accessing the application itself or the software itself, or maybe the functionality, that kind of thing. So Zendesk is one, Intercom, and Freshdesk. So those are all three customer support programs or softwares that you can use. So I've used Zendesk before in a past life, and it was pretty good. I mean, it's pretty easy to use. It's just like a ticketing system, and basically, it's you have a URL, and you can basically go, and somebody can go to the website and basically submit a trouble ticket or some sort of incident, and say, hey, there's a problem, that kind of thing. So yeah, see you, Nick. Yeah, we don't do you know we don't do negativity here, so. All right. So moving on. So marketing tools is these are the three. These are just there's so many different marketing tools you can use, but the three main ones is Mailchimp, HubSpot, and Buffer. So those are the three main ones for marketing tools as far as like email marketing and kind of marketing in general. So all right. So next we moved over to here are some common questions and answers that I found in my research, and I figured these would be really helpful in terms of being able to kind of answer some kind of like the common questions that you might get if you're excuse me, if you're starting a SaaS business. How you guys doing out there? Everybody doing all right? Hey Fioko, how you doing? It's so good to see you. Thank you so much for showing up. Really appreciate it. Thank you for the support. All right, we're happy you're here. So we're in the stage where we're going to kind of go through some of the common questions and answers that I've kind of found as I was going along. So we're talking about creating a SaaS business. That's today's topic. So, yep. So feel free if you came in a little bit later. That's no problem. You can always watch a replay. Today is day 26, creating a SaaS business. So, okay. So the first question is, how much initial investment is required? So the answer, this is kind of a loaded question. So the answer is it varies, but the initial cost can range from a few thousand to hundreds of thousands of dollars based on what you're trying to do, the software you're trying to build, and really the team that you're going to have around you. So it's just that this is definitely not something that I think somebody could really kind of start like on their own. It seems like you would need to have some sort of a team like around you. So Okay. Next up is, do I need technical skills to start a SaaS business? While the technical skills are definitely beneficial, you can also hire developers or partner with a technical co-founder or a member of your team. That way it makes it a little bit easier to kind of go through the process and have a full understanding of what it's actually going to take to put this together. So, okay, so next up is, what is an MVP? So MVP stands for minimum viable product, and that's a basic version of your product with core features to test the market. So kind of think of an MVP as the basically a beta version of your product. So the initial kind of like bare bones version of the product. Just you want to make sure it's got the core features so you can actually be able to have people test, be like beta testers and that kind of thing. But it's not the full-blown version. So, okay, next up is, how do I validate my SaaS idea? So, here's the different suggestions, different ways you can validate if your SaaS idea is good or you think it might be, be successful like when it reaches market. So, you can conduct surveys, right? You can interview people. You can talk to people in the space in the same industry or the same um, group as you, as far as like what type of software it is, or talk to fellow entrepreneurs, people that may have been around this and have more experience than you and be able to actually give you some advice. Um, and you can definitely build a landing page to gauge interest and to collect feedback. So those are also things that what you can do in terms of being able to gauge an idea, gauge if this is a good idea and how much interest there might be. So what are the common SaaS pricing models? So subscription. Hey, Fioki. Hey, so what you can do, probably the best way to do that is through like the video on demand. So if you want to rewatch the replay, that's probably the easiest thing to kind of get the lesson for, is watching the replay, because everything's in there. There's a lot of questions, a lot of content that we covered in the last, almost 2 hours. So that's probably the easiest way to do it, as far as, kind of getting the whole picture. So is to rewatch this live. That would be my best advice, because we're gonna keep moving forward, with different business models. So yeah, drop shipping. We talk about drop shipping. I think it was on like day two or day three. So you definitely more than welcome to watch that too. Um, and we talked about that early on in the challenge. So yeah. Okay, so what are the common SaaS pricing models? So subscription, right? It would be monthly or it could be yearly subscription. Freemium, where you basically have a core product for free and you charge for add-ons as you go along within the product itself. Pay per use, which is like you basically paying for whatever it is that you use in terms of like maybe minutes or in terms of songs when we're thinking about like the Shopify example. I mean, Spotify, sorry. And also tiered pricing. So basically, as you get up in features, you basically structure your tier. So there might be a low end tier, which is free, and then one that goes up a little bit more, and that one could be priced a little bit higher. So, okay. Next question is, how do I choose the right technology stack? So you got to consider factors like scalability, ease of use, and definitely your team around you, their expertise. So what are they familiar with? Is there something that they understand or they've used or they have experience using more so than other, as far as like the technology stack in terms of software itself? So how can I attract my first customers? So using content marketing, social media, and reaching out to your network for the initial users, as far as like your test users, your base, reach out to your base so you can have people tested that and you trust, and they're going to give you some honest feedback about how do you think the software is running? Is it buggy? Is there something that, you know, may maybe a hiccup or maybe it's running slow, that kind of thing. So you definitely want that strong test base to where people that you trust and they're going to give you some solid feedback. So and you understand before you reach out to, attracting the first customer. So, oh, thank you, Sweetums. Okay, so next up is what is churn rate and why is it important? So churn rate is CHURN, churn rate, RATE. Churn rate is the percentage of customers who cancel their subscriptions. It's crucial for understanding customer retention. Why do people cancel? Why do they just drop off? Why do they not renew? That kind of thing. So you definitely want to understand what is going wrong. What is the customer thinking? What is the issue? Is it just about the money itself, or is it customer service? Is it they don't like the product, or it's not running as smooth as they thought it was, or that kind of thing. So definitely to understand the churn rate for in order to increase customer retention and keep customers for longer and to keep them, basically long term is what you really want to go for. So, okay, how do I handle customer support? So, it's really important you set up multiple channels to use customer support software for efficiency. So, we talked about something like a Zendesk or like a help desk type tool where you can receive and customers can submit tickets or some sort of like an incident, um, logging a question or a problem or something that they're struggling with, or maybe it could be a billing issue. So, you really want to have that multiple. So, not just that, but you also want to have maybe some sort of live chat where people can interact with you or interact with somebody on the customer support side. So the customers don't feel like they're floating out on an island and nobody's helping them. You want to make sure that that's one way to retain the customers is make sure that they're getting the support they need. So, all right, what security measures should I take? So, implementing encryption is one. So, making sure that the data is encrypted so people aren't going to be able to see each other's, address, name, phone number, any of the credit card information, all of that stuff is highly, highly sensitive. Highly, like the privacy of it is very sensitive. So you definitely want to implement encryption. Hey, Winnie, how you doing? Thank you so much for joining. Really appreciate it. You want regular security audits, and basically what that means is you have a security team or security advisors or even consultants coming in and really kind of checking out what is going on with the security side of the software. So is is this something that somebody could hack into? Are they able to, maybe come in and take advantage of and expose, people's private data, that kind of thing, or access username and passwords? You don't want someone to come in and be able to break through the network and be able to wreak havoc, basically. So and then finally, compliance with data protection regulations. So, data protection is what we just talked about, basically protecting anything that has to do with data privacy, somebody's private information, name, address, obviously credit card information, anything that ties back to a person that could say, okay, anything as far as a government, a way to tie it back to somebody. So, government information that is private that you really don't want it to get out. So, okay, next up, how do I scale my SaaS business? So you focus on customer acquisition. So what does that mean exactly? You really want to try to draw in the right clientele, the right people, the right customers that you know are going to get the most out of whatever the software is. So that's why it's important to target the right audience because you want to make sure that you're setting up a customer for life, right? And you want to keep that recurring billing or the income coming in every month. So if you have the product and you target the right people, target the right customers, then you're gonna have no problem having that reoccurring payment come in, and that's just gonna help scale the business even further. So you want to optimize your infrastructure, make sure that the back end, the servers, the security, everything that you have on the back end, the servers, everything can hold or can handle the load of people constantly accessing this website in order to use the software. So if you have a sudden influx of new users that come on, you want to make sure that the website doesn't slow down, it doesn't drag, it doesn't drop, it's not going to crash, that kind of thing. So optimizing the infrastructure and making sure that you have everything in line and everything in the right place so you can have this run as smooth as humanly possible. And finally, you want to continue to improve your product. So whether it be not just security side, so updating, the patches of security, making sure you're all secure on that side, but also improve the product, maybe adding features, maybe new functions, different ways to access it, accessibility options. Maybe at first it's just like, through the web, and then maybe you can create like a mobile version, a mobile app, so somebody could take your software on the go. That's also another way to really, help with the word of mouth, because if you can take it mobile and you can still interact and you can use the features the same way as you could on a standard web browser, then I think that's just more of a selling point for the company itself. So, and on behalf of the software, people are really, if they really like something, if they're really into it and it makes their life easier, and most importantly, it solves a problem, they're going to tell everybody about it. Oh, you got to check out this thing. It helped me do this or helped me do that. It's awesome. It's such a cool product. So that's another way that you can have word of mouth, like basically like natural organic marketing as well. So continuously improving the product and making sure it's the best it can, it's running smooth, and it's just an all around. It can be all around success. So, all right, what metrics should I track as far as seeing, how you're doing with traffic, how you're doing with revenue, that type of thing. So you can monitor metrics like monthly recurring revenue. That's something to where you want to make sure, okay, is the revenue going up? Is it staying stable, or is it just kind of like stagnant? Is it not growing? Are we not getting new customers? That sort of thing. Annual recurring revenue. So versus similarly to monthly, but annual. So are you getting more people sign up for the annual plan, that type of thing? You can monitor that revenue that's coming in. Um, the customer acquisition cost. So basically, how much does it cost? How much marketing material, marketing budget are you putting out there to actually acquire these new customers? Is it running ads? Are you doing, all over social media? Are you doing different marketing tactics? Maybe you're doing in-person events, like you could be doing like expos or seminars, or, even like webinars online, or, some sort of like online events, that kind of thing, or in person like a convention. So what is your cost to actually acquire, to draw in a customer and have them stay as a customer, so as a paying customer? And then finally, lifetime value. So how many customers are staying with you through the course of year after year after year? And just no matter if you bump the price or you bump the monthly subscription a little bit, these people are staying. They're like super fans. They love it. They're just in it for the long haul. They love the product so much. That's your ideal customer that you want to just, they love it so much, or it doesn't matter how much you raise the price, they're going to be a lifetime customer. Okay. How do I handle updates and maintenance? This is really, really important. So, regularly releasing updates, not just based on like the security side of it, but also based on feedback from the users, the ones that are actually using the product itself. That definitely ensures robust testing before deployment. So you really want to make sure that you're doing regular updates, you're doing your checks and balances, and making sure that everything is running smoothly. So yeah, definitely Dragon Rider. I definitely would say that you definitely need a team if you want to create any sort of SaaS business. Um, Unless you have the skills and the experience and, the time to do all of this individually, it's probably going to be more beneficial in the long run to get a team on board and to really have people around you. Surround yourself with people that they know the specific skill, they have the skill set to help you with, whether it be like the website coding, the graphic design, the building of the brand, the marketing, the research, all that kind of stuff, and just putting them together. Um, so this is probably like the one, if not two, on this entire live stream challenge that is probably not a side hustle. This is probably like you're in it for the long haul. This is a full-time gig. So yeah, there's a lot of work to this, and a lot of work to keep it maintained and to keep it up and running. And you want to make sure that everything is updated, everything is secure, and you have all of the latest updates and maintenance running as smooth as humanly possible. So, and that kind of feeds into the next question. Can I run a SaaS business alone? And it is possible. It's definitely possible. But having a team can definitely help you with development, can help you with marketing, can help you with customer service, can help you with the accounting side of it, right? I mean, you want to make sure you hire, the accounting folks, CPAs, people that actually know how to do the bookkeeping, how to handle that side of things, because the last thing you want to do is feel like you're running really well, but you're really actually losing money because you don't know where the money's going. And that's a lot to take on for an individual person. So I think if you can find a team, it doesn't have to be a huge team, maybe like even like 3 to 5 people, at least just to start, that can kind of get things going and each have their own role. So you can focus on, whatever you're doing, you're gonna market it or get the word out or whatever it is, keep creating for this software model. So this SaaS. So and finally, what are the biggest challenges in running a SaaS business? I'm sure there's a lot that you can imagine that we can all think of. Um, Technical challenges, that might be number one. So, do you have the right infrastructure as far as the technical side goes? Do you have enough servers? Did you pre-plan for growth, for customers, for customer base growth, that kind of thing? What about usage? Can the servers handle an influx of customers? If more people are like hitting and slamming the website, is it going to slow down? Is it going to be laggy? Is it going to just fall apart? Or is it gonna just shut down and like be not accessible because it can't handle the load of the traffic? So customer acquisition. So I would imagine it's incredibly tough and extremely frustrating pulling in new customers or drawing people in and having them commit to paying a monthly or an annual subscription. So you really have to have your product really ironed out. You have to have it from A to Z totally ready to go. It has to solve problems for people and make their life easier, or bring some sort of value, or just bring some sort of like joy or entertainment or something like that to people, or they're not going to even look your way. So retention. So you need to make sure that you can, not only do you get the customer, you can acquire them, but you hold on to the customer. It's so important that you hold on to these customers and they're here with you for the lifespan of however long. So you want to make sure that not only do you get them in the door, but then you hold on and you keep them as a paying customer again and again and again, every month or every year or whatever it is. So that's why you always need to stay on top of your toes to kind of pivot and make sure everything is updated and you have, all your ducks in a row, everything, the maintenance, the updates, all that stuff ready to go. So, and then finally, competition. Trying to break into, imagine what Spotify thought when they were like, wow, iTunes, like at that time, iTunes was like the crown jewel of like digital streaming for not even streaming. It wasn't even streaming. It was like for digital music downloads. So this little guy, this little Spotify somebody had an idea to create this streaming platform. So where you need to download the music, you could just literally hit play and it would just stream. It would play in your ears, that kind of thing. So think about that as, the competition. Your competition is Apple, basically. I mean, but somehow they went through, they were in the trenches, they did a lot of research and development, a lot of trial and error, and I'm sure there are a lot of failures along the way. And then all of a sudden, Shopify was born. So I mean Spotify was born. So how you guys doing? That was a lot. That was a lot of information. That it was almost like it was almost overwhelming just having me like say it for the last like 2 hours, that kind of thing. I really hope that you guys got something out of this live stream as well as the rest of the live streams. Um, we're on day 26, which is absolutely incredible. If you've caught any of our other previous live streams, thank you so much. I just want to say thank you for the support. We really appreciate it. And we hope you'll come back tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be day 27 and it's content writing. So if you're interested in content, ad copy, anything of that sort, definitely check that out for sure. And so, like we mentioned in the past, all the live streams are going to stay up. They're going to stay on. So you don't have to worry about it. They're all like, video on demand or whatever. So I'm not taking any of them down. We do have a playlist that has all of the live streams thus far. So you can check that out if you're interested in watching them back. I mean, it'd actually be pretty cool to watch, day by day by day. If you want to start from the very beginning, you can just take it one video at a time. Or if you have more time, you can just, okay, I'm going to watch this day one and then day two. The majority of the videos are between 2 and 3 hours, not quite 3 hours, but thank you, Sweetums. They're typically, the earlier videos were like between an hour and 2 hours, but I think after a couple days, we started hitting 2 hours and beyond. So I really hope you guys are enjoying this 30-day challenge. It's coming to an end this week, um, which is a little bittersweet because I know it's been fun to kind of get on here with you guys every day, but my voice is definitely going to appreciate it and thank me. But we're still going. We're not done yet. We still got some more content to crank out. So here's a little kind of the view for the last couple days. We got content writing tomorrow. We have transcription services coming up. We have translation services coming up. We have online surveys and market research to close out the live stream or close out the challenge. So if you like any of those, definitely stick around. And if you're not yet subscribed, please consider subscribing because we're just going to have fun with the rest of these. We're going to finish out the last day. I think the last day is this Thursday or this Friday. So we'd love to have you come along with us, hang out, and yeah, just want to say thank you guys again for joining. Really appreciate it. So we're going to close out the live stream for today. I really appreciate it. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them down in the comments below, and we will answer as quickly as humanly possible. So thank you guys again. Hope you guys have a great night, great day, great afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Thank you for your support, and I will see you tomorrow, day 27, content writing. All right, everybody, be safe. See you tomorrow.